she's the quintessential civil servant, I would say, okay? The epitome of excellence in public service. And she has been the investment secretary in the Treasury, probably her longest stint. And everybody knows her for privatization, the most famous being the Safaricom privatization. I think it must have been the largest IPO in the region to date. And then she has also been the principal secretary, Minister of Transport and Infrastructure. And now she's the principal secretary, State Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunication. So it's now my great pleasure to invite Mrs. Esther Koimett. Karibu, Esther.
Daktari, you didn't see that. Honorable Sakaja, it's good to see you in a setting outside the grilling of Parliament. Yeah. Honorable Esther Parastaris, the chairman of the Standard Group, the deputy chairman, and the directors of the Standard Group, Mr. Orlando Lyomu, and the staff of the Standard Group. Ocheng Rapuro, you've done a wonderful job. Distinguished guests, invited stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure to join you all today as we celebrate the launch of the Standard Media Group's converged newsroom and revamped KTN News. Let me congratulate the group for taking the bold step to transform its editorial processes to keep up with the industry best practices. Such agility and willingness to embrace more efficient ways of doing business will ensure that Standard Group remains relevant in an increasingly competitive sector. We also expect that this convergence will serve the purpose of keeping our populace well-informed, educated, and entertained through balanced, objective reporting and wholesome product content. The ultra-modern converged newsroom is a mirror of what Standard Group has become over the years: a mature, confident, dynamic media house that is proud of its heritage and is in step with Kenya's predominantly youthful and urban population. I'm aware that convergence journalism brings together multiple forms of media to tell a more effective story. Rather than just reading an article in a newspaper, convergence allows consumers to read the article online, scroll through the slideshows, click to an online video link, and then listen to the related stories. Converged newsroom, therefore, offers more opportunities for the public to be involved in a story while offering the reporter and the editor more integrated tools to tell the story. Ladies and gentlemen, the digital revolution is the source of profound change for journalism, and the media houses must adapt to it or risk perishing. Media convergence is important because it blends together content, communication, technologies, and computer networks, thus leading to the immediate transformation of many established industries, services, as well as work practices. Through all these, new forms of content are borrowed or shared. The converged newsroom at the Standard Group speaks to a brand new effort that takes content from the traditional print platform into the digital space, especially to the mobile phone, which is currently the leader in content consumption among Kenyan audience, and which we understand is going to be even more important going forward for all of us. I want to laud the Standard Group's management for becoming the first media house in East Africa to converge and transform news and other content streams across platforms into one integrated unit. Article 34 and 35 of the Constitution gives the media special and extensive protection in order to enjoy freedom and independence. Specifically, it provides that the state shall not exercise control over or interfere with any person engaged in broadcasting, the production or circulation of any publications, or the dissemination of information by any medium. B, penalize any person for any opinion or view or the content of any broadcast, publication, or dissemination. We recognize the role played by the media in Kenya, in Kenya's political, economic, and social development. As the media, you have the key function of informing public opinion and serving as a watchdog to monitor whether the government is keeping its promises. We urge you to practice balanced, professional reporting to fulfill this mandate to the country. The government is committed to investing in media development, respecting freedom of press, and fostering improvement in the sector through standards, procedures, and practices, and promote goodwill among stakeholders. We wish to see a situation where the electronic media, in pursuit of its information and educational role, and in keeping faith with its social responsibility, provides free public service announcements to the Kenyan people. This happened recently when the media supported government to disseminate information about the COVID-19. The ministry wishes to acknowledge the unstinting support from the partnership with the media houses, including the Standard Media Group. At that time, there is still more that can be done together for the benefit of the country. The government has also made great efforts to lay down the infrastructure we need to transmit information. Our purpose in landing the fiber optic cable at the coast and in laying it throughout the country was and remains to promote the rapid spread and exploitation of knowledge. This is a single very important example of the lengths to which we are going to modernize the country's ICT infrastructure. The government will continue to modernize and expand the ICT infrastructure and to improve access and quality of service. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at the history of the media in Kenya, you will notice the big role it has played in the democratization process, supporting the rule of law and good governance. Media is a corporate citizen with duties and obligations similar to those of any ordinary citizen, and perhaps much more. Salient among these is to represent issues and facts in a manner that creates a positive perception about the state of affairs of our country. This not only to say that media perches on the fence and watches bad governance thrive without. This is not to say that media perches on the fence and watches bad governance thrive without sounding the alarm. Speaking truth to power and holding those in authority accountable is what qualifies the media as the fourth estate. Kenyans expect the media to help them make a difference in their lives and promote transparency and good governance in a professional and responsible manner. The ministry is keen on working with the Media Council of Kenya and other stakeholders in the industry to ensure that the regulatory and the policy environment is reviewed to reflect the present industry needs, including ensuring that the country has a media that serves public interest and does its work responsibly. It is in the interest of the journalism profession and the country at large that media reports factually, objectively, and within the context when reporting on public interest issues. We note with concern cases of sensational reporting and caution journalists against relying on unverified sources of information, especially in this era of misinformation, propaganda, and misuse of online platforms. We are aware of the challenges facing the industry, including loss of revenue, loss of jobs for media practitioners, inability to catch up with operational models with current market demands, poor training and capacity, and weak financial positions, which had been made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic. Given the digital transformation in the industry, media must find new ways of doing business, including producing converged news using digital business models and retooling media workers. Additionally, the emergence of social media channels and news sources has affected the flow of revenue in terms of advertising. Other challenges include training standards, where national media curriculum has not changed, thus hampering the quality and agility of media workers in an ever-changing media environment. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your responsibility to deploy the infrastructure made available to you for greatest public benefit. The migration from the analog to digital services gives us the greater room to provide extra information and to provide more diverse information and to provide far more local content of direct importance to Kenyans. There is no reason, for instance, why we cannot feature substantial agricultural information, letting our farmers plan their activities. And I'm happy to hear that you have a farmers channel. Beyond the current obsession with politics, soap operas, and foreign popular culture, this country's media will need to find and supply serious, responsible, and analytical content that is directly relevant to Kenyans. And as has been said here, we are supporting our creative industry to be able to provide this content. We are looking at the policy space and ensuring that we update the laws to be more relevant in this space. And the digital migration is also their opportunity. As that process continues, we as policy leaders must protect the public's access to information. Investors in the media industry expect returns from their investment, and they may be tempted to limit access to television and radio content to subscribers only. But access to vital information is a basic right, and the media models we adopt must protect this right for people. Our policies, therefore, will guarantee that accessing free-to-air broadcast remains free, and free universal access to quality content will be guaranteed. We are cognizant of the great impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the media, with many of our journalists rendered jobless because of dwindling incomes by the media houses. In addition to the devastating effects of the pandemic, journalists across the country work under harsh conditions, including lack of appropriate equipment, safety gear, and conducive working space, in addition to means of movement. Moreover, the closure of offices of several media houses has forced many journalists to operate from cyber cafes, hotels, and even social places, something that has exposed them to many risks and in turn hampered the performance of their duties. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth is committed to supporting our journalists to overcome some of these challenges. Some of our key interventions include support to grassroots media houses and media interest groups to cushion them against the effect of the pandemic. The ministry is listening to the industry on the need for a media diversity fund, and we will continue to engage and to discuss this. We acknowledge that the media business is very expensive and an investment, and as such, the operating environment must be made conducive to allow the sector to play its critical role in the democratic process. I now want to congratulate once again the Standard for taking the lead in the media sector through these two investments. It's now my singular honor to declare the Standard Media Group Converged Newsroom and KTN Revamp officially launched.